Talent Engagement Tutorial Part 3, Communications 101, Marketing Basics for every YP Group. So when we meet with a variety of young professional organizations, we often hear that no one RSVPs for their events, no one comes to their events, or I have nothing to offer current or potential sponsors. However, the reality usually is that no registration platform is going to equal no RSVPs. No event/program promotion is going to equal no attendees. And sponsors are vain. They just want to see their name or logo. So basically, a lot of organizations do not utilize any kind of software that helps them gather RSVPs for their events. Or they simply rely on something along the lines of putting the event up on Facebook, but those are not guaranteed attendees. Someone marking interested on Facebook or maybe doesn't give you a solid number of who is actually coming to your program. And a lot of times sponsors are vain. They just want to see their name or logo on something. So this is something that you're able to sell them, whether it just be something as simple as the social presented by, and then that company's name. And then you're able to build their logo into further promotion or on the website, things of that nature. So as you're putting together a social media plan, you need to start with finding your voice. A lot of organizations all operate under having a brand voice. So that being said, one of the first things to do is define it. Put together 3 words that capture your personality, the way that you want your organization to be heard. NEWaukee refers to ourselves, we like to think that we're an excitable voice, we like to be civically engaged. We often refer to ourselves as sort of the excited Labrador puppy, like we like to have a positive outlook, an upbeat tone in our voice when it comes to our marketing, but we also still like to present people with the issues at hand. Then you need to differentiate yourself. You need to study what everyone else in your network is doing. What makes you stand out? What is unique that you have to offer to your audience? Listen. You need to listen to how your audience interacts with you. If you're getting feedback in regards to the content, don't be afraid to change it. Engage. You need to be real and be you. Be authentic when you engage with your audience. It makes it feel like you're more relatable to them. And again, evolve. You can't be afraid to change. If something isn't working, then just change it. The next important step is putting a method to the madness, and this includes creating a content schedule. This can be done however you feel comfortable. For example, you might have a large whiteboard that's designed like a calendar that everyone on your team can collaborate on. Maybe it's an Excel sheet that you have with a variety of different content that you can schedule out. You have to do whatever works for you and your organization. Also make a timeline for when you're going to make your announcements. At NEWaukee, we like to allow ourselves 6 weeks of promotion. So we sit down and we look at a calendar and schedule our announcements to ensure that there are 6 weeks for a launch of a program or any new service that we're offering. We feel like 6 weeks allows us a significant amount of time to promote. And make sure that you create a strategy for announcing across all of your platforms. If you only have a Facebook page, that's fine, but make sure that you have a strategy. If you have a Facebook, a Twitter, and a newsletter, make sure that all of these channels are set to promote at the exact same time. You want to be consistent across all of your platforms. There's a variety of different scheduling softwares that are available for use. We've tried a few throughout the years of NEWaukee, and personally right now we are using Sprout Social. This is a great way here that you can see how we sit and we schedule out our Facebook promotion, our Twitter promotion, and also our Instagram. You want to analyze data. If you're putting all this content out there, you want to see where it's going. And Sprout has a variety of different options that you can use. Here you can see the breakdown of the demographics of whether or not they're male or female followers. You can also see how people are interacting with you. So they recommend to sit down and actually study the data of your posts twice a month. All right, so getting started. There's a variety of different ways that you can send out your messages to your audience. Pick the one that works best for you, but we'll be going over newsletter, registration websites, your actual website itself, and then a variety of different social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Meetup. Here you can see what they recommend in the industry for actually promoting on social media. Again, obviously only pick the platforms that you feel like apply to you and how your audience is going to engage with you. NEWaukee has a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We do not have a Pinterest, and we also have an Instagram and a Snapchat. Newsletter. The recommended software that we would suggest is MailChimp. You can set up your distribution in a variety of ways. Some organizations like to utilize this and send out only once a month. At NEWaukee, we send out our newsletter every Monday at 9 a.m. But that being said, we also do have something that we refer to in-house as the news flash, and that is sent out on Thursdays on a need-to-be basis. If we have something that we want to announce or give a little extra love or a push to, if we're hoping to raise more awareness around it. Here you can see what the campaigns tab on MailChimp looks like itself. We have a variety of different messages and templates that we send out. The ones labeled as October 16th and the 9th, those are our weekly newsletters that go out. And then we also send out our press releases on here. And there you can see the Engine 2017. That was an extra push that we wanted to send out for an upcoming program. You can also see the open rate percentages there. This definitely varies industry to industry in regards to content, but anywhere from about 12 to 15% is a relatively average industry standard. Here you can also see the breakdown of what it looks like when a newsletter is opened. Here you can see that we have 21,000 recipients, and then you can also see the open rate and the click rate. And you're able to see who's unsubscribing, what emails these are bouncing from, how many clicks there are. And so this is just a really great way for you to see what is interesting to your audience. Here's an even further breakdown of how many opens there are based on what time. And then you can also see which links are the top clicked in your newsletter. And again, this is another really great way to see what kind of content is interesting to your audience. Here you can see a breakdown of approximately where all of the opens are coming from. Obviously, typically most of them are coming from the United States, but you can also zoom in and drill down further into that as well to see where you're all reaching. Here's just another visual of the lists that we have. You're able to build a variety of different lists so that you're sending out your messages to targeted audiences. This is an example of what it looks like in the back end when you are building out the content for your newsletter. So there you can see on the left is the visual, and then on the right is where you're actually editing the content itself. And here you can see this is a great way that we were able to link directly to On Milwaukee and Feel Milwaukee as an example of some of our sponsors that we want to add further promotion to. And then here you can see we also use MailChimp for sending out press releases. This just adds a really nice polished touch as opposed to just copying and pasting content in an email format and sending that out. So you want to be capturing data. So for event registration, we use Eventbrite. It is a free service, especially if you are hosting free events. If you are hosting an event with a ticket price, there can be a percentage that is taken off. But we definitely recommend having an outside registration because Facebook simply won't cut it. With Eventbrite, you're able to get an idea of who is actually attending your event. You're able to customize it in a way that you can get different information from those that are signing up. And you can also pull at the end of the event everyone's email addresses, and that's how we build such a large distribution list within MailChimp. We pull all of the information from that, and then we upload it into MailChimp. And then this can also be a sponsor perk as well. You can pull the emails and send them to sponsors so that they can send a thank you or recap email afterwards to those that attended. Here you can see what it looks like from a managing events standpoint for when you're creating something. And this is what it looks like as we gather RSVPs. And then here you can see a back-end display of what you're able to all gain access to. So here you can see the tickets sold, the rate at which they're purchased, and then obviously on the left side there are some different options about how you're able to manage guest attendees, you're able to analyze the data that they submit to you, and a variety of different options. And then this is a look at where you would go to actually pull their information. Facebook. So we recommend sharing daily content, and that can be a variety of different things. It can include event announcements, photos of things that feel behind the scenes. People love to feel like they have kind of like a VIP access to the actual process. Team profiles, event recap photos, sponsor thank yous. It can really be a variety of different things. There's a lot of debate as to whether or not you should share a photo and then also a link in your post or just share the direct link. There's a lot of debate as to whether or not which one is more engaging to the audience. I've read a lot about how photos typically have more engagement, but it's actually really interesting because when I was analyzing NEWaukie's data, it shows that links actually work better for us engaging with our audience. So that's just something to keep in mind as you're going over your Facebook content. And again, they suggest reviewing your engagement data twice a month. Website. Don't let your content get buried. A lot of different YP organizations have a website that's hosted on a Chamber of Commerce website or something of that nature, but it's really hard for someone that's looking for information about the organization to find it. And so we always recommend buying a unique URL for your organization that then redirects to that page that already exists within the chamber. But it's also easier to share that URL link on printed collateral. And you can purchase URLs. Typically, they're relatively cheap, and you can purchase them through websites like GoDaddy. And then you want to make sure that you link all of your platforms on your site. So here we have an example of what one of our website pages for events look like. We have a link to a map so people can easily find it. We have a link to our registration, and then we have it linked so that you can share on other platforms. Now it looks like the slides got a little out of order here, but here is an example of what it looks like on our end for when we shared a link on the left about the Pabst Brewery event and then versus sharing a photo along with a link. Twitter. So this is a platform where you're able to increase the post frequency and also start a conversation. It's easier to have an actual dialogue on this platform as opposed to Facebook. And the content that you can be sharing on here, again, is event announcements, live event updates, share photos of the process of setting things up, and community-based issues and conversations. And again, this is a great platform to build relationships on. You're able to have a more authentic voice on here and to actually truly engage with those that are following you, and it makes them feel more connected and invested in your projects and your program. Here are some sample tweets that NEWaukee has sent out. There's a variety of different things of just including obviously a direct link or sharing a photo with a link, and then an example of using photos from previous events to promote upcoming ones. Instagram. Instagram has a lot of new exciting features such as the Instagram story where you're able to do live updates. This is an opportunity for, once again, people to feel like they have a behind the scenes access to use setting something up or sharing like everyday updates from what it's like to be working behind the scenes in your organization. You're also able to do something called a live stream now which is really cool, and you're able to share what it's like to be at that event or at that program. This is also another platform that you can build promotion on, but it's not as genuine. You're not able to add links either to specific posts. You're able to update links in your bio, but again, it's not very authentic. Um, it's more so, I think, a place to share highlights of what is going on within your organization. You can also add photo recaps. Now you're able to add more than one picture to a post, which is really exciting. Here's an example of some of the content that we share on NEWaukee, which has worked, examples of what has worked really well and what not so much. On the left, you can see two examples. The top one is from our interns that we had this summer, their last day. And then on the bottom is a beautiful photo from the night market that we had this summer. Both of these posts had really great interaction for our page. On the right, you can see something that is an example of a sponsor post. This kind of content doesn't typically work very well on Instagram. It's kind of an example of, we say, selling your soul in the sense of having to promote sponsors. But again, this type of content, I think you can see there, we only received about like 9 likes on this. So the engagement just wasn't very high. Instagram is more of a place to share like beautiful and unique photos of stuff that you have going on within your organization as opposed to building promotion for events. It's just less authentic. You can also share and create a community on LinkedIn. The best way to go about this is to create a group and then have someone that's able to manage it for you. This is a great place to share events, announcements, blogs, anytime you have mention in the press, things of that nature. And then you also want to establish yourself as a thought leader and engage with people that are interested in the same type of content as you. And so here's our thought leader on LinkedIn. Jeremy from our team likes to run our LinkedIn page. And so here he shared an update about a networking event that we had coming up. And then also this was a place that we shared a podcast that we recorded with one of our sponsors. And this was interesting because they talk about what it's like to work with Kohler. And so these are great ways to also build attendance at your events, but this is a great place for you to connect with others in the community that want to engage with your organization as well. Another platform that you can take advantage of is called Meetup. And basically what you can do is you can create a group, and then within that group you can create an event, and then you're able to build a network of people with similar interests. Here you can see what the NEWaukee profile looks like. We typically find a lot of people that are either interested specifically in the types of events that we do, or they're new to Milwaukee, and they're looking to find different ways that they can explore the city while meeting new people. And then here you can see what it looks like when we add events to our meetup, and then you're able to get an idea of who is also going to be attending. Now, this isn't really a great platform to sell tickets on. We've noticed that when we have people come to our events that are ticketed and they found us on Meetup, it typically doesn't connect. And so this is more of an appropriate platform to use with free events that you host. It's also important to take advantage of community calendars. This one's a little bit more difficult to study whether or not there's an ROI on the post, but this is still a great way to also take advantage of a free tool that links to your community. So definitely consider looking for online community calendars. That being said, that wraps up this part 3 tutorial. If you have any questions, we encourage you to definitely email us at contact@newwaukee.com. Again, that is contact@newwaukee.com. Thank you so much for listening.